Yep.
2 seconds. Good evening and welcome to the October 7th, 2024 council meeting. Members of the public are provided with the following methods to watch and or business appear in this open meeting. Attend in person at the North Dumfries Community Complex. Attend electronically via Zoom to observe the meeting or to speak to an item on the agenda. You can watch the live stream by accessing the meeting on the Township's YouTube page. And your submitted comments to the Clerk's Division were provided to council members and will form part of the public record. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can I have approval of the agenda, please? Councilor Chair.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Ossner, that the council adopt the October 7th, 2024 council meeting agenda as presented.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. I'd now like to do the Indigenous acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Neutral people. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today, their achievements and their contributions to our community. We offer this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples of Canada. And over the last couple of years, a lot of us have interacted with the Indigenous and I believe come out better for it. And I think we're starting to see a common respect for one another, which is what I believe we are to do. Respect isn't earned, respect is given freely and then lost. And maybe we've lost some of that respect, but hopefully we're gaining it back. And I find them approachable and generous in their attitude and acceptance of us. And I hope we can do the same. So let's reflect on that. Thank you. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Seeing none. Adoption of council minutes, please. Councilor Rose.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Willimon, that council approve the following meeting minutes. Council meeting minutes from September 23, 2024, and council planning public meeting minutes from September 24, 2024.
All those in favor? Thank you. Presentation, Region Government Municipal Speed Cameras and Administrative Penalty Program, Doug Springer and Darryl Spencer, Mike Henderson. You don't have the whole group. Go ahead, Doug.
Good evening, Mayor Buxton and North Dumfries Council. Thank you for the opportunity to join you today. My name is Doug Spooner, and I'm here with three distinct roles tonight. I'm the Acting Commissioner of Transportation for the region of Waterloo. I'm a resident of the region. Likely most importantly for this presentation, I'm a father of school-age children. Council, as I'm presenting tonight, I'd like you to hold two ideas with you that are quite different. The first is that we should all be safe. Our neighbors who walk, wheel, cycle, drive, take transit, or use a horse and buggy should be safe. The next, and even harder to achieve, is that while we're doing those activities, we should also feel safe. Council, 72% of trips in our region are taken by car. But in that, 30 to 40% of residents don't drive. So the following is to tell you how the municipal speed camera program can help us all be and also feel safer. I'll talk to you about lowering vehicle speeds, the current program we've got out, the expansion we're planning, an understanding of community safety zones, which are a new element of this program, as well as our plan to communicate this broadly across the region, and obviously an opportunity for any questions. This is the most critical slide of my presentation. If you look at what this slide tells you, it's pretty stark. A car traveling at 40 kilometers an hour, by the time we can take our eyes can talk to our brain, can talk to our feet, and can apply the brake, takes 45 meters. The next is the rate at which a pedestrian can survive a collision of this type. This increases. In fact, it goes from 15% at 50 kilometers an hour to 70% at 40 kilometers an hour. Slower speeds result in safer roads. Mayor Foxton, you shared an example at the regional education session that I thought was great. You described a scenario in which you're driving in the left lane with 2 lanes of travel, a van parked on your right, and a pedestrian who enters the roadway. Stuck with me for the last 2 weeks. My job is to solve transportation problems. And I don't have a great answer to that one. Except, if you were traveling at one of the slower speeds on this chart, that is the outcome. So I think we've got a plan here that addresses some of that unpredictability. Council, is speeding a problem here?
Yes.
It was rhetorical, but thank you for answering. You'll see a number of incidents here from our pilot program. None are from North Dumfries. I have a few to share. We've got a few examples, 60 and a 40, 62, 66, 71. So while drivers in North Dumfries are very well behaved comparatively, we still do have some instances of speeding. And when we look at a slide like this, I can give you the survivability statistics at 40, 50, 60 kilometers an hour. With some of these speeds on the slide, 80, 90, 111, 121, there is no statistic which I can provide you. Council, I am sure you do receive a lot of community feedback, seeking the tools to make our neighborhoods be and also feel safer. We're learning from around the world on this as well. Excessive speed is a contributing factor in 1 of 4 fatal crashes on roadways. Speed cameras have been successful at reducing vehicle collisions by up to 50% and fatal injuries by up to 44%. It's working here too. The current pilot program has 4 speed cameras placed at 16 locations rotating through the region. And since 2021, we've seen an increase in compliance with those speed limits by 63%. It's working. We've also learned a lot. A local processing center would help us increase the efficiency of our program and make it easier for people to dispute and challenge a ticket. The current process, which is the Provincial Offences Court, is at capacity and has long wait times. And finally, based on that 63%, we believe that all schools could benefit from a program such as this. We've been on a journey. It started in 2020 with a motion for a pilot program. And since that time, we've seen 3 motions and 4 approvals, which have sought to advance this program to where it is today. I'll be at Regional Council tomorrow with a proposed launch date looking to get this program going. Let's talk about that growth. The overall plan is to grow by 36 cameras deployed across the region each year until 2028. Each year, I will return to Regional Council and report on the program, plans for this year's expansion, and what our working group, which is comprised of staff from all municipalities in the region, have identified as next up locations. In North Dumfries, you know that today we have 2 locations at Cedar Creek and also at St. Bridget. No plans for expansion into next year, so those will be the 2 locations, should we choose to continue, that will remain. We have others identified, but no immediate plans for expansion.
Have many tickets been done? Have we had many tickets handed out in North Dumfries? You can respond tomorrow.
Well, comparatively, no, we've done very well in North Dumfries, but I did share with you a few of the speeding infractions that. So it's not fearless. There is a question, this program will require us to move from a provincial offenses court to an administrative penalties program. And I want to talk to you a little bit about why we think that's a good idea. The first thing is the name of the program. Moving from provincial offenses to an administrative penalty takes the program from something delivered at a provincial level to a local level. In the 3 cities in our region, the APP program is how parking tickets are paid today. The next is timing. Under the administrative penalties program, the entire process will take a fraction of the time. Next is about the local processing center. We will have regional staff doing the intake of tickets with the ability to cancel or vary tickets based on individual circumstance and financial hardship. And along with virtual, online, phone, and in-person options, we can expand the number of ways that people can engage with this program. Finally, and probably most important, this program is scalable. Under the Provincial Offences Act Court, our ability to expand is limited. It's by provincial staff and appointment. With the administrative penalties, we can grow, and if we wish, include other types of tickets to be processed. Now, that all sounds great. We should move from a provincial offenses to an administrative penalties program. Faster, local control, scalable. But the fines do increase. And they increase by changing programs. So they do only change once. The fines that you see here, they don't double again if you're in a construction zone. They don't double again if you're in a community safety zone. They double because in the Highway Traffic Act schedule of fines, these are the fines that are available under provincial offense and under the administrative penalties program. You will note that I am saying doubling. If you look and do the quick math, 5250 does not become 9825. What is the doubling is that in that 5250, the fine monies resulting is $30, and in the right-hand column, the fine monies resulting is $60. So the fine monies are doubling, the administrative costs are obviously not doubling exactly. I will also note the provincial offenses fines in that middle column have not changed in decades, so they may at some point. And that other municipalities such as Windsor have requested a change, and actually that the fines would increase in both scenarios as a further deterrent. Okay, so the goal is road safety, and one of the outcomes is fine monies collected. The real goal of this program is not to need community safety zones or speed cameras. With that, any monies collected that exceed operating costs will be put into a road safety reserve to fund safety projects such as a township traffic calming initiative, which will look at slowing speeds coming in and out of settlement areas. A roundabout pilot program aimed at increasing the safety and the feeling of safety for pedestrians and cyclists moving through roundabouts, and the eventual goal of redesigning roadways, again, so that we don't need community safety zones and speed cameras. We do believe that tickets will increase in the short term and then reduce over time as we all slow down. The Road Safety Reserve Fund is another area where I will report back to Regional Council every year on the status of the reserve, as well as the projects that will be funded by that reserve. Okay, so to get a sense of how this will all work, I'm going to attempt to play a video. Mayor and council, just because I'm a road safety professional, I will note all of those videos were taken from the passenger seat of the vehicle. The driver was not holding or operating a camera. I've also just introduced a new topic for you, which is a community safety zone. And I want to talk quickly about what that is. It too, like a school zone, is an area where we should all slow down. But how we get there is a little bit different. We first do an eligibility assessment, and it could now, a community safety zone can include all types of community facilities. Schools, parks, community centers like where we are tonight, hospitals, daycares, seniors residences. It expands the definition of where we can add some added attention. Once we've done that, we added a points-based risk factor assessment. So we look at daily volumes of vehicles, we look at traffic speeds, which as you know, are not always the posted limit. We look at collision history and other variables that tell us that's an area that could use a bit of extra support. You're then likely to ask, why do we need a community safety zone when we already have school zones? And the answer is that there are limits in what a school zone provides in terms of protection for the community. School zones extend 150 meters from the site on the road with a main vehicular entrance, meaning if we've got entrances off of the back or pedestrian accesses off of the back onto smaller roads, we can't apply protections today to those areas. The school zone only applies to that front entrance. The next is we're recognizing more important community spaces. Community safety zones give us the ability to help those residents and add protections in areas outside of school zones. Now, when we introduce a program like this, we need everybody to be aware. So let's talk about how we do that. We have 4 pillars of our communication plan. First is education, the benefits of the program, much like tonight. Awareness about cameras and their locations. More to come on that shortly. We also need to inform how people can pay or challenge a ticket. And finally, we need to partner. There are lots of partners on this program. I had mentioned a working group with all the area municipalities in the region. We are working with school boards, student transportation, WRPS, community groups, basically anybody who wants to work with us. Our communications plan is multi-pronged. We need to target local areas. We will put a mailer out within 1.5 kilometers of every camera location, so people in the immediate area where it's coming. We'll also communicate broadly to everybody in the region so that they know. We must consider all needs. We have lots of languages spoken in the region and people gather information in a lot of different ways. We need to sustain that awareness. Again, the goal is awareness of the community safety zones or the school zones. And we're going to publish the location of each camera and their performance. Council, this program isn't intended to be punitive, hidden, or secretive. We simply want people to slow down and be aware of the community locations that need more support. So our friends, neighbors can be safe and feel safe. Thank you again for the opportunity and welcome you to any questions.
Thank you, Doug. Councilors, any questions? Council Rose.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Doug. When it comes to the moving from provincial offenses, this would mean that we wouldn't be able to take away people's driver's licenses if they are super excessive in speeding. Would there still be collaboration with the police to make sure that repeat offenders get notified or get dealt with on a provincial level as well?
Yeah, through you, Mayor, very good question. So it is an important point of clarification. In a case where a speed camera is used, the ticket is applied to the vehicle, not to the operator. So the driver wouldn't receive demerit points and wouldn't have an impact on their license. And in this case, wouldn't be caught up as a repeat offender at a provincial level that would impact their license. So it is a bit of a gap in that. Thank you.
Councilor Norman.
Madam Mayor, through you. Question I have is, a lot of focus on schools and community zones. What options do we have in terms of township roads? We have a lot of speed on a lot of rural roads and a lot of problems with Clyde, problems through our villages. But this is we focus mainly on schools. Do we have any options for township roads?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Thank you for the question. It's actually a piece that I'm really excited about. So Regional Council had directed us to start with school zones. I think that makes sense as a starting point. The community safety zone discussion is one that we're going to have now with our municipal partners. We're actually starting to identify locations for community safety zones. So that is the natural next step after school zones, and agree they can address a lot of different problematic areas.
Councilor Norman.
So just as a follow-up, a lot of our rural communities also don't have schools. So we're looking at a long way of waiting before we have any cameras out there. I mean, basic schools are in there. or in Cambridge, in case no school in Cambridge. But there's no schools in Brampton or Clyde or Roseville or any rural areas, so is there any sort of alternative program that would address the problems we're having in rural areas?
Yeah, through you, Mayor, thank you for the question. So again, the community safety zones can be applied on other facilities than just schools. So if we have community centers, senior centers, or anywhere else that generate a lot of trips, a lot of community activity, that's where we can apply a community safety zone. So that's likely a good tool. I'm also excited about the road safety reserve because that gives us the ability to actually make capital and design changes. So the township traffic calming strategy is one, entering settlement areas where the speed goes from 80 to 60 or 50, some opportunities to add some signage, some lighting, some features that indicate to people. So multi-pronged approach to road safety, as you can tell from my answer. But I think if the school zones aren't the area of interest, community safety zones will be.
So if I can just interject for a minute, community safety zones and the highway and traffic act fall under the jurisdiction of the municipality. The region can't come into North Dunford and say, we're going to make this a community safety zone. And the motion gives three options, and since you may not have read, may I read the motion just to give you this, Chuck? So the top one says that the presentation from the Regional Waterloo municipal speed cameras and administrative penalty programs be received with thanks. Option number 2, that the presentation from the Regional Waterloo municipal speed cameras and administrative penalty program be received with thanks, and that council requests that the region expand the municipal speed camera and administrative penalty programs to include community safety zones as identified by the area municipality. Option 3, that the presentation from the Regional Waterloo municipal speed cameras and administrative penalty programs be received with thanks, and that township staff be directed to prepare a future report to township council with assessments options related to an expanded delivery of the municipal speed cameras and administrative penalty programs, including a program to be delivered directly by North Dunford. So those are the 3 options which will cover that. And Councillor Tilly, you will choose, or Councillor Austin, you will choose which one you wish to present to council and move on accordingly.
Yes, I like option number 2.
First, is there any further questions?
Sorry.
Councillor Owen, sorry.
Just a question of clarification. I just want to know about the road safety reserve. So this is only to be used on regional roads, or will this also be used on township roads?
Yeah, through you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor. It's a great question. It's actually, we will put forward tomorrow to Regional Council, the development of a policy related to the road safety reserve. So one of the pieces of feedback that I've received as I've done education sessions like this is there is a desire to see projects implemented not only on regional roads in North Dumfries, but also on local roads. So I'm committed to that. I've got to figure out how to do it, but we've committed to delivering a policy back to Regional Council to do just that.
Councillor Austin.
Yeah, I do like option number 2. However, when I look at, like, for example, the ACC, we have three-way stop there now. So I think that's alleviated a lot of the issues for years. And, you know, that's where I live and I see cars going whipping by there all the time. And I am really surprised that nobody's been hit there, that child has been hit yet. So, but we've alleviated that with the three-way stops. The NDCC here, we have a long driveway coming in. But, you know, we think about the library, school, like all the school zones and that, and I'm sure that maybe staff could come up with a staff report as to where in the town of Air, in the village that we could do it, and then look at wards 3 and 4, where the parks are, maybe Clyde's Women's Institute, like, and maybe that long stretch of highway that you're having constant problems with, maybe we can put a swing set out there and call it a park. But one speed cameras out there. And, you know, just something, because I think from what I'm gathering from your presentation, the down the line with using it like the old days, the red light cameras on the vans on 401 and that. I think it's gonna be a long way away before we get to that. So hopefully we can slow in the rural area, slow it down by utilizing our parks and such as a start.
And if I may, Councillor Owen, go ahead.
So, thank you, Madam Mayor. So through you to Councillor Austin, I guess are you saying that option 3 is only preferred? for our staff to do, of our staff to report, and so we can still work with the regions, right?
It was the same thing that option 3 is for staff. And this, you're going to go including program to the but it doesn't have to be directly done by us. So it's option 2 plus adding like the staff is important.
Yeah, cause I'm not sure what it means by, be delivered directly by North Dumfries. Does that mean that we are going to handle the fines and collections or?
That's our option, but we don't have to. The staff, that'll be part of the discussion. So we will decide where the community safety zones go. We will, either, number one, present them to the region to do, or we can do them ourselves, so it'll be part of the further discussion.
Yeah, I think, like I'm still like kind of a hybrid between 2 and 3, I guess, because I would like to see a staff report from it and identify the areas and also identify how possibility is of delivering the program.
So
But it's an option, it's like what the options are in delivering it, not necessarily that we deliver it.
no, not necessarily, that's the. But it's your call. No pressure. Sorry, so it's optional. Councilor Rowland.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So just for clarification, if we were to deliver the program ourselves, with the money from the fines and going for our own reserve, then we get to determine where that money is spent, or do we have to? So I know the option they're presenting, the region gets to decide if we spend. And maybe they'll put in some township roads, and maybe they won't. But if we deliver it ourselves, but the fines ourselves, and presumably council can make the decision on our own traffic calming, our own township roads, and not have to go to the regional water and beg them to spend some money in North Dumfries.
I see CEO McNally's finger itching, and I couldn't see anything.
So, Madam Mayor, as Doug has indicated in his presentation, he's taking forward a proposal for the consideration of regional council in terms of how the net proceeds. Remember, there's an administrative cost to run the program. There's also, I'm going to use the word capital replacement because the cameras and the infrastructure associated with it do have a life cycle. So, the net proceeds, whatever that may be, I mean, Doug has indicated would go into a reserve. And that targeted delivery would be one of those 3 objectives. And regional council would have to decide whether or not funds are released from that regional account to one or more of the area municipalities for local traffic calming initiatives. If the township were to deliver it, it would likely be through a third-party vendor, likely from the private sector. And the net proceeds would then be the decision of township council as to how they are delivered. The one key caveat that I wish to clarify and confirm, though, is township can only designate roads for community safety zones for roads that are under the authority of the township. Township cannot place cameras or equivalent on regional roads or provincial highways without one or the other basically agreeing that such a program could be delivered on their roads. So we would only, if council follows this third option, we would only be assessing and identifying options as it relates to township roads, because those are within the jurisdiction of township council. And council can identify where those community safety zones are on the local road system.
Councilor Wells.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think Councillor Osner is correct. We almost need a 2 and 3, where the region does go ahead and figure out the community safety zones in regional areas. And we look to see what makes sense for our roads and how we're gonna figure that out. That is something I think we can support, I can support.
Councilor Austin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm still sitting at number 2 because I think that with the equipment, having a third party, as CEO said, implementing it is going to be expensive. And I don't think we're gonna see the returns for quite a while. If you're looking at it from a financial point of view, I mean, the whole idea is getting people to slow down, I understand that, but. If we try to implement this program ourselves, it's gonna be, I think, a big cost and administrative cost in order to do it. I like the idea of the region doing it, but I would hope that we, with like a staff report, that we as council could maybe come up with areas where we prefer to have the campus located.
Council Williams.
Council, I think we're on the same page here. I'm not saying that we go and invent a whole new system. What I'm saying is that we need to figure out, from what I'm understanding, and maybe I'm misunderstanding, is that the region would figure out the community safety zones for the regional roads. But we would have to figure out the ones that we would like to implement on our local roads. And so that would require staff to look into that and investigate.
Council Taylor.
Through you, Mayor, to CAO. I believe we've had this discussion sometime in the past year, and one of the confusing points that I guess I can't remember, it sounds the same. Is it one or the other, or is it a possibility to do both?
So you have to choose one or the other unless you amend one of the, so you can say, let's word it this way, but I think what I heard you guys saying is, see, community safety zones, not on regional roads, can only be done by the municipality. So if we give our consent to the region and tell them the ones we want done, which is what number 2 says, I believe, then that covers what you're saying, am I correct? To include community safety zones as identified by the area municipality. See, McNeely, you should figure that you've got it.
So, Madam Mayor, just for clarification, Doug in his presentation outlined how the region will determine the appropriateness of a location or a stretch of a road, regardless of whether it's township or regional, in terms of whether or not it rises to the threshold warranting a community safety zone classification. And some of those aspects were collision history, speeding history. And what I mean by speeding history, I'm talking about speed traveled 85th percentile above whatever the closest speed is. Collision history, accidents, pedestrian and or cycling counts, especially if we're looking at cross-foot traffic. And that would be weighted and run through a formula. So it'll be done through the regional lens based on providing some of that data. Now, we may be providing some of that data because we have the traffic counts as an example for certain stretches of the road. And we collectively get our information on collision history and accidents through the WRPS that houses that kind of data based on their calls for service. The difference is you will be making a recommendation under item 2 to the region as to areas that you believe warrant assessment as community safety zones. They may or may not then be selected through the analysis for a community safety zone, either on a regional road or a local road, as the case may be. If council runs the program on local roads, council can set its criterion in accordance with the Highway Traffic Act to what warrants a community safety zone. And then could look at rotating camera locations on one or more of those locales based upon the need and what the costs would be, both the capital and annual operating costs to administer the program.
And not to pick on Doug because you weren't here when this happened, but a lot of times things that happen for no reason don't use. North Dublin Street was supposed to be done in 2000. 2010, it still wasn't done. And because we're easy to push on the way, because we're one of the smallest. And we're not seen as needy as some of the larger ones. And so that I can't see all of that money finding our way. And we know As I mean, I don't know, and a lot of people even know we North Dumfries is in the region, but, so I really can't see it, Council Rowan.
Now, Mayor, to your point, I mean, how long have we talked about getting truck to the downtown area? I mean, you want to lose, doesn't seem to be fair about that, so I just, it's getting to the point where. It's getting to the point where it's gonna be unprecedented, like that. So I don't want to rely on the region to decide community safety zones when they can't even decide if trucks in downtown areas.
Any other questions? Are you making a friendly amendment?
Yeah.
Okay, the mover and the seconder has to move, has to do the amendment. Yeah.
You know, we should. Yeah, but then.
Yes, you'll have to.
Well. That. Either he wasn't doing a great job. I'm crazy, you're in his head.
That's a terrifying thought.
Wait.
Thank you.
Okay, so all it is changed, I was gonna read it. Okay, we're fine, you read it then, you said you didn't wanna say that many words.
Oh, geez.
I didn't say that.
You sorry, but you
I
repeat
said-
the motion.
That's less words than that.
Councillor Upton.
Are we ready now?
Yes,
Speak
please.
down, Mr. Tillman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Tilly, that the presentation from the Region of Waterloo Reed Municipal Speed Camera and Administrative Penalties Program be received with thanks. And that council requests that the region expand the municipal speed camera and administrative penalties program to include community safety zones as identified by the area municipality. And that township staff be directed to prepare a future report to the township council that assesses options related to an expanded delivery of the municipal speed camera and administrative penalties program, including a program to be delivered directly by North Dumfries.
All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. Thanks,
Thanks.
have a good night. Okay. Is there any item that anyone would like to list on the consent agenda? We do have to lift the appointment of a lottery licensing officer, is that correct? Correct?
I know that's your question, Madam Mayor, that's one of Another member of council wishes to discuss that?
Did anyone that council wish to lift? Seeing none, can I have the motion, please? Council Owens.
Moved by myself and by Council Williams, that the following reports as listed on the October 7, 2024 council agenda be received. And the recommendations contained there and be approved and acted upon. 10.11, Act Report of 11-2024, September 2024 Fire Incident Summary Report. 10.1.2, CLK memo, appointment of lottery licensing officers, and that the following information items as listed on the October 7, 2024 consent agenda be received. 10.2.1, communications and correspondence, Minister of Agriculture, Food and Agribusiness, RE, Agricultural Workforce Equity and Diversity Initiative. And 10.2.2, advisory committees, granular accessibility advisory committee, GRAC, recruiting new members.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, and just I missed in that, reminding that prior to the approval of items of consent, we do have a notation whether there are any members that are intends to speak to any of those. Reports in case
Would any of the
people
members
or
of the
that.
public like to speak to any of these?
Just confirm that. Thank you.
No, thank you. All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. Next is the Pro Shop, rec number 2024, Pro Shop Retail Services. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, can I have the motion, please, Councillor Austin?
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Tilly, that rec report number 24-2024 be received. And that council approve MDF Industries to lease space for a pro shop retail space at the North Dumfries Community Complex at the location of the former pro shop in the lower level facility. And that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute an agreement with MDF Industries, Inc. for the provision of pro shop retail services for the 2024-25 ice season at the North Dumfries Community Complex Arena, subject to any minor revisions that may be required by the township solicitor and chief administrative officer.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, we have, rep report Green Municipal Fund Growing Canada's Community Canopy Grant. Is there any questions or comments? Councilor Rose.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What I have is more or less just like a comment. So in my past town hall, there was a request made about heritage trees and what we do with regards to maintaining said heritage trees. And I believe Director Winter, you indicated that there wasn't really money grants out for anything like that. But I would like to just enter that in because I think that that's really an interesting point, that we do have a lot of older trees in this area that would be great to maintain.
The tree, you saw the email today from the region in regards to that tree. Okay. There was a old oak that is going to be in the spot of a roundabout, but it has to be removed because it wouldn't withstand the construction. Okay, can I have the motion, please, Councilor Williams?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Rowland, that rec report number 25-2024 be received, and that the council authorize staff to make application with the Green Municipal Fund Growing Canada's Community Canopies for tree planting within the township in the amount of $70,000.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, we have the Line Fences Act. Any questions, comments? Councilor Tilly.
So I read it in detail twice, and my understanding, and just get a consensus here, my understanding is that we're gonna look to the staff to give us some further information on it. Right now is more for information purposes, or we have an opportunity to improve upon it, I know there's three options at this point, but I really came down to my not understanding the verbiage and what we're being, at this point, what we're deciding on.
Because this is asking for an enactment. So CAO McLeod, if you can help explain.
So Madam Mayor, through Councillor Tilly. There are two things that are going on concurrently. At our last meeting, we presented revisions to the fence bylaw that affects how and where and the standards apply for the construction of fences in rural settlements, industrial areas, commercial areas, urban areas, and the rural countryside. That is out for public consultation and will be reintroduced to Township Council in the month of November. This report ties into the Line Fences Act. And so this is where a fence is situated between two boundary properties. And at present, because we do not have a bylaw that allows us to opt out, if there's a dispute between two landowners in terms of either the style of the fence and or the cost recovery to install the fence, the municipality actually has to act as an adjudicator and determine an award based on the information provided. And so you have three fence viewers that act as effectively referees that take in all the information and they issue a decision. The Line Fences Act was brought in an era when there were no such things as fence bylaws, similar to what we have, which is passed into the Municipal Act. As the report indicates, the first line fences was introduced in 1793. It was agrarian by its focus because it looked at animal husbandry practices and keeping animals within property boundaries. Right now, if there was a dispute between two owners about how to share the costs in an urban setting, we would be obligated to go through the process and adjudicate that proceeding. What we're saying is we have a process where we talk about how fences are to be constructed and where they're to be constructed and on what standards. We have largely replaced the need for line fences and line fences dispute. Truly, if there is a argument between two owners, it's a private matter in terms of who and how the costs are shared. And there's civil proceedings that are available to them for dispute resolution. And we're suggesting to council that we actually opt out of the Line Fences Act, pass a bylaw accordingly, and then we would not be fulfilling the role as an adjudicator.
Councillor Austin.
Yes, and reading it, I was kind of surprised that we are currently so involved in disputes of landowners. As to property line fences, etc. I would hope that, I would think that, yeah, opting out would be like staff recommendation is, I think, correct. As long as whenever said fence is built or whatever, it would also all obviously fall into our bylaws at that point. That's where I think we should be involved. We shouldn't be involved in the legal dispute between two landowners. That's just costing township taxpayers money.
Seeing no more questions, can I have the motion, please, Councillor Roman?
Move by myself and by Councillor Williams that BLT report 13-2024 be received and that proposed bylaw number 3510-24 being a bylaw to provide for the non-application of the Line Fences Act, the Township of North Dumfries be enacted.
All those in favor? Passed. I can remember when we closed the bylaw and the hanging from downtown in air, the hanging offense, we had to go to the hanging law. My first term of council, we got rid of the hanging law. Okay, Mitchell Drain. So, council appoint someone. No, Councilor Roman.
So Madam Mayor, is this Mission Drain the one that's in my ward?
So, Madam Mayor, yes, this is the one that straddles effectively the Brant Waterloo Road in and around or adjacent to the intersection of Brant Waterloo Road and Swan. Then it drains southerly into the county of Brant. And that's why we've made the reference to county of Brant versus the Mitchell Drain that is north of Cedar Creek Road, which flows into Blanford Blenheim. Both
Change their names.
No, they're enshrined that way, going back decades.
That's all.
I would mind putting my name forward for that, because it's in my ward.
See, only Wendy, why don't we act the Mitchell Jean and Grant again? Because didn't I do this a few years ago?
So, Madam Mayor, we did do improvements to the Mitchell Drain to accommodate additional flows coming out of the storm pond, which was constructed at the southwest corner of Brant Waterloo, or the northwest corner of Brant Waterloo Road and Swan Street. And so that required us to create additional capacity coming out of the storm pond and serve certain distance to the east, to the west, and then to the south of the Brant Road. This is now all within Brant County itself, but it's assigned back proportionally to all of the contributing landowners within the sub-watershed area. And this is for maintenance improvements downstream. So while the lands right at the municipal boundary aren't part of the new improvements, we do contribute flow southerly and would benefit, for lack of a better term, from the maintenance improvements downstream. And because there are lands contributing from North Dumfries, there has to be a representative from North Dumfries Council as part of the court of revision.
Thank you. Any other questions? Can I have the motion, please, Councillor Tilly?
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Osner, the report CLK 10-2024 be received, and that council appoint Councillor Rod Roman to the Court of Revision for the Mitchell Municipal Drain, County of Brant.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Thank you. Next is the waiving of the cultural heritage impact assessment. Are there any questions? Seeing none, Councilor Rowland, again, please.
Moved by myself and by Council Williams that bill report number 02-2024 be received. And that council waive requirement for the preparation of a cultural heritage impact assessment for the dwelling located at 2577 Elth Road, facilitating this demolition. And that council provide direction to the chief building official to facilitate demolition of the dwelling as a listed heritage resource located at 2577 Elth Road. And that council approve removal of listed heritage building located at 2577 Elth Road from the municipal heritage registry. And the council adopt a demolition agreement for an existing house to remain while a new house is constructed applicable to the property located at 2577 Elks Road. And that bylaw number 3511-24 being a bylaw adopting demolition agreement for an existing house to remain while a new house is constructed be enacted. And the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute demolition agreement between Edwin and Janet Hesseling and the township of North Dumfries, subject to any minor revisions as required by the chief administrative officer or the township solicitor.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay. Next up is correspondence, regional water use solve the crisis. And there is a motion here. So, Councilor Osner, again, you have to make a decision.
Yeah, two options.
Just so the rest of council knows, the first one says that the city of Waterloo resolution dated September 25th, 2024, resolve the crisis campaign be received for purposes of information. Or two, that the township of North Dumfries support the resolution for the city of Waterloo dated September 25th, 2024, as it pertains to solve the crisis campaign. And that the city of Waterloo, the region of Waterloo, and the area municipalities of Waterloo region, Cambridge MP Brian May and Cambridge MPP Brian Rydell be advised of the township council's decision on this matter. You call Councilor Austin, go ahead.
Do you want me to just read the one that I'm choosing? Okay. Move by myself, second by Councilor Tilly, that the township of North Dumfries support the resolution of the city of Waterloo dated September 25th, 2024, as it pertains to the Solve the Crisis campaign, and that the city of Waterloo, the region of Waterloo, and the area municipalities, Waterloo region, Cambridge MP Brian May and Cambridge MPP Brian Riddell be advised of the township council's decision on this matter.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next is the city of Kitchener renovations. Now, Celia McNeely, you were going to do something on renovations for me. Is this similar type of thing? Or?
So, Madam Mayor, the city of Kitchener is leading the literature review. And we're not at a point yet where we've got anything to bring forward to council. The city is asking the province to create a better framework in which municipalities can deal with renovations.
Okay, and this is Councilor Williams, and it is your call on to which one you're going to endorse.
I move by myself, second by Councilor Rowland, that the city of Kitchener resolution dated August 26, 2024, regarding renovations and safe and adequate housing be received.
All those in favor, do you want to hear what the second one said? Okay, the second one says that the city of Kitchener resolution dated August 26, 2024, regarding renovation and safe and adequate housing be endorsed. And that the city of Kitchener, the region of Waterloo, and the area municipalities of Waterloo region, Cambridge MP Brian May and Cambridge MPP Brian Rydell be advised of the township council's decision on this matter. Now, I'm going to pick C.O. McNeely's brain and say, do you have any comments on this? Because I know I asked you to do a motion from council on renovations.
So, Madam Mayor, as I noted, and as you can see, the city of Kitchener is asking the province to introduce companion legislation that will assist municipalities better deal with the whole issue of rental tenancy and how to deal with rental evictions. Right now, everyone is using broad sweeping powers under the Municipal Act, and it's being challenged in terms of whether municipalities are doing an overreach, in terms of how to govern rental accommodations. So as you can see, under items A through C on the bottom of the first page, the city is asking that the province reintroduce vacancy control legislation which ties rents, residential units rather than tenancies. To introduce rent control to cover units first occupied after November 15, 2018, because essentially rent control does not apply to any rental accommodation that was constructed after that date. Require landlords to be residential units be responsible for providing temporary accommodation where there is displacement of tenants to accommodate renovations that might be occurring in one or more of the dwelling units. And the list continues in terms of what they're asking for. And these are pressure points that the municipalities are being challenged when they're trying to craft locally sponsored renovation bylaws. And so they're hoping that the province will create enabling legislation that will assist municipalities and provide the context of when and how they can frame those renovation bylaws.
So Council Williams is still presenting the first one? Okay, all those in favor? Well, go ahead, Council Nelson.
I've had conversations with at least 3 people that, and one person, their mother was renovicted out of their apartment. And there was no timeline, date line, anything of her moving back in. I've heard several stories in the Kitchener-Waterloo area in regards to that on, South Kitchener on Frederick Street, particularly on Frederick Street, with a multiple unit. That's where the one mother lived, and now she's living with her kids because there's nowhere for her to go that's affordable. So that seems to be a landlord's loophole to getting tenants out and renovate, and there's no timeline for most of these tenants to come back. So I do think there has to be some sort of rules that the municipalities and the cities and townships need to have some kind of clear rules for the landlords in dealing with tenants or residents on clear cut, like finding them affordable alternatives until their apartments are renovated so they can move back into their homes. Some people have lived in the one lady, for example, she was in an apartment for 20 years. And now she's completely displaced and there's no time for her to come back. So I think I would like to see us support something, support Kitchener in their endeavors to develop something a little more substantial.
So let's vote on the motion as presented and if we want to add any motion, that's fine. So all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, so we have seen the motion seconded to do the one.
So that motion was lost, Madam Mayor. So anybody can introduce some motion on that.
So Councilor
particular,
Wilson, would you like to
agenda.
introduce the law? Well, Councilor Roman.
Madam Mayor, so the question I was just for clarification, so are we saying we want to just have a motion that's gonna say we support Kitchener's endeavors, which is one thing? But in the township of North Dumfries, I'm not really aware of a lot of rental stock being available, so I mean, how much does this actually affect North Dumfries? Because when I look around, for example, around the rural areas, there's not really a lot of rental properties, and the one that we did have immediately switched over to become condominiums. Or it's front one.
We won that one.
Won.
That was a heck of a fight.
Yeah, so I guess I'm just wondering, like, how much does this actually affect North Dumfries, or is this really more of this, there, like the council also pointed out, this is more of a city issue? So do we want to craft a resolution that says to support what the cities are doing, or are we trying to say that we want to have something enacted here for North Dumfries?
Councilor Taylor.
I can speak to the reason why I chose to put that concept, or not vote for that. Personally, I think that anybody who's put in that situation it's a very hardship, and I just felt as I was reviewing the two options there, I feel it's our diligence, even if it doesn't happen a lot in this area that we're aware of, that the people need that support, and that's the reason why I chose to go with that. It's not that I think if it possibly happened once in North Dumfries, that might be enough to support it, but I also am aware of people who, not just in North Dumfries, where people have gone through this hardship where they've been evicted, not through the normal means, but through this renovation process. So,
Councillor Larson.
Yeah, so my point about the township coming up with something, that's not in this motion. It's just something I would like to see come down the line, but that's not in the motion that I'm reading. This motion just says, that we be, advise Brian May and Brian Riddell of the township council's decision on this matter. So it's just saying that we support Kitchener's resolution.
Councillor Williams.
So the reason why I don't think I fully support Kitchener's resolution is because I'm not totally sure that it meets the it meets what I think is there's more to this resolution than just rent eviction. There's talk here about rent controls. There's all kinds of things here that I don't think are the same thing as rent eviction. Maybe it's misunderstanding. Of course, I don't want people to go through hardships. That's not why I voted against this. But I would like to see, more information before I go off and agree with the city of Kitchener on something where I'm not totally sure I agree with.
Councillor Austin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you to Council Williams. All the talk for years has been about affordable housing, how people can afford this, how people can afford that, people can't afford to rent, there's limitations on it, like all the problems. And now the city's coming up with an attempt to try and correct some of the issues. I think we should support them. And this may be phase one. And, wherever there's phase one, there's phase two. And I just think that if we don't support them, if they're looking to us for support, that's what I garner from this. That's why it's here. It's looking to us for support. If we don't support that, I'm afraid that, everything we talk about doing to help tenants, we go against by not supporting Kitchener.
Councillor Roman.
Madam Mayor, so question I have, Madam Mayor, is could we just vote to defer this and have staff come back with the report that you talked about? That would be more tailored to North Dumfries and give us more of North Dumfries sort of viewpoints. I agree with what Councilor was saying, I agree with all those points, but I don't want to have a made in Kitchener solution forced on North Dumfries. Can we have our staff come up with a North Dumfries solution?
Any other comments, Councillor Tilly, excuse me.
From the Kitchener's document, point J, I instead of reading it through, I think the only part that really bothered me was where it's saying how landlords should address their income and how they should become a legal standpoint. I do, to Councilor Wellman's point, and I assume as well Councilor Wellman's point, sorry for assuming, but then there are points of this that kind of are a miss as well. So I can see your point, and I appreciate you pointing that out again, because I could speed read that. And one of the things that I definitely can say that one I would not think is a good point to tell people how to spend their income. So I can see the point of view, and I appreciate you pointing that out.
Councillor Austin.
Just one more point to Councillor Wallman's comment. Again, we're supporting the city of Kitchener on their endeavors. This is not the region of Waterloo that's putting this, it's the city of Kitchener. So that's not going to be on us in rentals here in North Dumfries. We are supporting the city of Kitchener's endeavors.
CEO McNeely, your finger's itchy, go ahead.
Madam Mayor, the City of Kitchener, as I indicated a few moments ago, is going through the process of establishing a rent eviction bylaw. As part of their work to date, they have found certain limitations as it relates to current enabling legislation. So as part of their literature review, they came across documents prepared by the city of Toronto. And they are saying, we believe, it's the city of Kitchener, we believe that these positions would assist municipalities to create renoviction bylaws. They're asking the province to make certain new enabling legislation and or amend current legislation with one or more of these tools. This is not the renovation bylaw. This is to try and create the framework that would allow municipalities to prepare for discussion renovation bylaws and put those before the public and members of council. That's all this resolution is seeking.
Councillor Lawson.
So therefore, as Councillor Rowland mentioned, if it became an issue for North Dumfries, we could then have a staff report brought forward as to how we would handle renovations.
See, only thing, if I heard you correctly, what you're saying is that some legislation, provincial legislation, has to be changed to allow municipalities to bring forward a policy on renovations.
No, what I'm saying is, we're trying to use language in the current municipal act that is very, very broad in its nature, that talks about the health, safety, and welfare of our inhabitants. That's a very encompassing terminology. On challenge, municipalities are concerned, can we actually frame renovation bylaws and have it hold up to scrutiny if there's a challenge through the courts? And what they're saying is, there's a way to help municipalities frame future renovation bylaws by making amendments to one or more pieces of legislation to capture some of these elements. And from that, there's more confidence when establishing bylaws to deal with the issue of renovations.
I sort of thought that was what I said, but maybe I didn't. So, since City of Kitchener's motion is in that light.
So, Mayor, as I indicated, the city of Kitchener is taking the lead in terms, in the context of Waterloo region. To look at the whole issue of renovictions. And their early literature review has identified where some gaps may exist, how it could be strengthened, and could be a more effective bylaw for the consideration of their council. Whether or not Kitchener goes ahead or not, if these changes aren't adopted by the province, I don't know, but they're just saying it would help us as an area municipality to craft a bylaw. This is an area municipal responsibility. It's not within the jurisdictional framework of the region or a county.
Where are we at, folks? Yeah, go ahead and read it.
They're not seconding this, is what you're saying.
Well, that one, I don't agree.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Right. Second.
And it's defeated, correct?
Well, there is no motion for it.
Right.
To that item question.
So, just. Mark, lost?
There's no motion about forward, so there's no motion to lose. There's no second to Madam Mayor, it's not a motion.
Well, I'm talking about the industry.
The original was, there was a vote to receive only, exception.
Right.
That one there was a vote on, and it was defeated.
So lost.
That's correct.
Is all the council aware of what the second motion says? Are you aware of the wording? Okay.
Councillor Rowland. Councillor Rowland.
Madam Mayor, may I introduce a new motion to defer this matter to staff and have staff
Should be direction to staff.
questions?
Direction to staff, and as I previously asked you, if you would.
Okay, so for clarification for staff, exactly what is council asking us to come back with? Because this is asking the province to amend legislation. What are you asking for staff to come back to with?
We're asking staff if all of the points in the city history report actually apply to North Dumfries. And as Councilor Tilly mentioned, there's a couple things in there that council is not comfortable with. So I think we'd like to have a staff report where we can actually go through this and actually debate all the different points in the Kitchener resolution.
CEO McNeely.
So Madam Mayor, through the council, clarification. Let's just pick one item. Clause J. It reads, amend the above guideline increase AGI rules to eliminate the eligibility of capital expenditures that constitutes a general repair and maintenance of property. Add a new subsection requiring landlords to save 10% of rent income to be accessed for capital expenditures, and require landlords to notify tenants of the decrease in advance of the date when rent is required to be reduced as specified in the order permitting an AGI related to eligible capital expenses. That's a subjective position. I mean, what would you like staff to do in that regard? I mean, that is a personal position. Do you wish to have legislation that dictates what a landlord is obligated as a minimum to put into a sinking fund reserve to fund future capital replacements? At the end of the day, that's really what clause J says. That is a subjective position. Staff would explain to you what it means, but it is a personal choice as to whether or not you, from a policy perspective, you believe that's appropriate or not. I'm not too sure what a staff report is going to
Councillor
do.
Austin.
So when I read J, to me, it reads the same as what we do in our capital budget. We're putting money away for a rainy day. What this is doing is requiring landlords to requiring them to put 10% of their rent aside, so that if there are any, renovations or something that needs to be done, they don't have to apply for the funds to, which take more time, and they may not get it. So what they're saying is that if you're gonna say you're gonna do renovation, we want to ensure that you're saving the money for that renovation. Most landlords that are conscious of their efforts would do that anyway. I've talked to a few landlords that I know, one guy that has 3 separate apartments, and that's what he says. We always put 10 to 12% aside, just in case. You have to work that above and beyond.
Councillor Williams.
So are we kind of moving off the agenda now? I'm just wondering what's going on.
What happened was that CEO McNeely explained to Councillor Roman. He's requested from Councillor Roman, what exactly we're directing staff to do. I believe Councillor Roman wanted us to look into renovations. And see, it may not be happening now, but as we grow, it could happen. It could happen anywhere. And what CEO McNeely, I think, is saying is that Kitchener is trying to move forward and make the government create legislation that will allow for renovations in a roundabout way. CEO McNeely, clarify me, and you can tell me if I'm wrong again.
So there are municipalities. City of Hamilton is the first that's actually passed a renovicted bylaw. City of London has gone through crafting a bylaw, it's had a series of public information meetings, and could be in a position shortly to enact such a renovation bylaw. City of Kitchener is saying, we believe that our bylaw could be more effective if the province provided more context and framework enabling municipalities. Okay, because both the Hamilton and London bylaws are being challenged. My question on the third consideration of a motion is, what are you asking staff to bring forward as a report? Am I critiquing the resolution as adopted by the City of Kitchener? Or is council asking staff to bring forward for discussion a renovation bylaw for North Dumfries? I'm just asking, what do you want from staff?
Councilwoman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So earlier, that's a comment I made, is that I would like to see a renovation bylaw crafted for North Dumfries and not a made in Kitchener solution. That's what I clearly said. I can reiterate that for staff, but that's what I believe. We should have our own made in North Dumfries renovation bylaw that addresses issues and concerns in North Dumfries. I don't really care what happens to the city of Kitchener because it doesn't affect me day to day. So that's my position.
And what Fiona Healy is saying that Hamilton and London both did the renovation bylaw and are now
They're being challenged on their
Being challenged.
content and the legitimacy of potential overreach.
Councilwoman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So just to that point, my question would be is, what's Roma's position on this? What's happening with the rural townships? What is our position as a rural township with vis-a-vis this renovation bylaws? All the examples are City of Kitchener, City of London, City of Hamilton, City of Toronto. Where's Woolwich on this? Where's Middlesex County? I don't know, like, where are all these other rural areas? I want to hear what the rural townships are doing about this, because this sounds to me, it's like, everything I've heard sounds like it's City of Kitchener or a city-led process.
Sounds like a topic for our joint mayor CAO's meeting and also maybe a brief for Roma. But staff is asking for basically a motion for renovations. So they're asking it to be a report for renovations and how we could do a sort of one for us.
So we'll craft the resolution. Mr. Kruger will put it together and then council can read it and then vote on it.
Sounds okay? Councilor Austin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is the city of Kitchener taking the bull by the horns, and they're asking water region and municipalities for their support in this. They're kind of trying to see how they say craft their city bylaws, etc., to clean up some lackluster. I'm not, like, I'm just struggling to understand what we're getting staff to do as well, because like, this is a Kitchener resolution. They're not saying this is what we want North Dumfries to do. They're saying we would like you to support us.
They're asking
That's
North Dumfries to endorse it, so no, so what we would do is take that Kitchener's motion, put North Dumfries in there instead of Kitchener and comment, that's basically, and then send it to those people. When we endorse another municipality's motion, what we do is take their motion and put our name in the top. That's what we do.
So this is not just about support. They want us to adopt something that they don't have. Adopt.
All right, motion please, Councilwoman.
Moved by myself and by Council Williams, that staff be directed to prepare a report regarding renovations and safe and adequate housing for council consideration.
All those in favor? It's carried. Opposed? Carried. Okay. Next is Councilor Tilly, City of Brantford, in regards to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court campaign. So the first one says it's just be received. The second part says that the City of Brantford resolution dated September 24th, 2024, regarding request to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court campaign be endorsed, and that the City of Brantford, the Region of Waterloo, and the area municipalities of Waterloo Region, Cambridge MPP Brian May and Cambridge MPP Brian Rydell be advised of Township Council's decision on this matter. Councilor Williams.
So I took some time to actually skim the original 1995 plaintiff's application. And I was a bit gobsmacked at, well, it's very thorough, but just the history of what was going on there. And it's quite something that's still going on, and there's still no judge assigned, and it's still not in the court. So I'm really hoping that we can endorse this.
Counselor Tilly.
The section of, that caught my attention is whereas the resolution of these claims is critical to resolving the tensions that exist throughout the watershed between Six Nations of the Grand River First Nation and other municipalities. That's what caught my attention and why I support it.
Okay, then we have no other comments, can I have the, so Counselor Tilly, you have to decide which one you drink.
Moved by myself, second by Council Ossner, that the City of Brantford resolution dated September 24, 2024, regarding the request to Chief Justice of the Superior Court campaign be endorsed, and that the City of Brantford, the Region of Waterloo, and the area municipality of Waterloo Region, Cambridge MP Brian May and Cambridge MPP Brian Riddell be advised the Township Council's decision on this matter.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. And next is motions, and this is the YMCA summer program, work exchange program. I was basically just bringing it for information to the township and staff. So the motion, Council Will, any questions? Council Williams, motion, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Williman, that the correspondence from October 1st, 2024 from the YMCA regarding its summer work student exchange SWSC program be received, and that staff be requested to promote SWSC program on the township's social media platforms and e-blast.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next is the correspondence we government to solve the homeless crisis. Any questions or comments? Councilor Tilly, your motion. OPCM means Ontario Big City Edge.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Ossner, that the correspondence September 27, 2024 from Rob Deutschman regarding Ontario's big city mayors solve the crisis project be received, and that the Township of North Dunfree support the OBCM motion regarding health and homelessness strategy.
All those in favor? Carried. Next is the proclamation one. So the motion basically asks that the staff come back at a future date with a report. Proclamations we get, on an average, I probably get 5 or 6 a week. From different groups or organizations want to identify their flag, to declare their day, declare their month. Some months, there's 6 or 7 in 1 month. And it's just the overlap. And St. Mary's Red Shirt Day is the same as a red shirt for something else that month. So there's so many, but staff will, this is to direct staff to do it. Any questions or comments on that? Councilor Williams.
Through you, Mayor, to staff, can I, being a bit of a newbie here, have a better understanding what proclamation, what that means, what that is? Thank you.
Theo McNeely, please.
So, Madam Mayor, there could be national, international, or local groups that wish an event, key milestone to be proclaimed by the municipality. Generally, what that means is council or the mayor on behalf of the corporation acknowledges that, for sake of argument, today is X day. And we would publish it accordingly, and we would perhaps even give a certificate, or we would put something on our website or somehow outwardly acknowledge that this day for this organization has this meeting.
Hello. Councilor Austin.
Following up on Councilor Williams' question. How how does staff decide, or how do you decide when you get these emails, which ones you want to bring forward, which ones you don't, like, how do we do that?
I usually send them all to you guys to look over and staff, puts them on the agenda. But I mean, there's so much now, like, there's pro-Israel, there's pro-Palestine, there's pro, and so we can get it, but staff will bring a report on all of that. That's what their job is to do, is to totally, advise us, or, no, give us the facts, give us the information, and then we make the judgment. And the report, I hope will do that. Council Austin.
Yeah, because to follow up on that, I mean, if we start adding and then we're gonna get the, like, we want people in Canada support Trump Day, or like, we're gonna start getting all these groups that, believe in something that the majority of people may not, it may not be something we want to get involved in. So we gotta be careful on what we do add, while still being respectful to the groups that request.
Or whether we don't add anything at all, to be on the safe side. So that will be the staff report to come down the line. Can I have the motion, please?
Moved by myself and by Council Williams, that staff be requested to return to a future council meeting report on the matter surrounding proclamation.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Councilor Austin, the bylaws, please.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Tilly, that the following bylaws be read a first and second time. 17.1, bylaw number 3509-24, to appoint lottery licensing officers. 17.2, bylaw number 3510-24, to provide for non-application of the Line Fences Act in the Township of North Dumfries. 17.3, bylaw number 3511-24, to authorize demolition agreement 2577 Elms Road. And 17.4, bylaw number 3512-24, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council on October 7th, 2024.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. And third reading of the bylaws, Councilor Williams, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Rowland, that bylaw numbers 3509-24, 3510-24, 3511-24, and 3512-24 be read a third and final time and be signed and sealed by the mayor and acting clerk.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. We adjourn. Councilor Tilly.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Osner, that whereas business before the council meeting is completed at 7:27 PM, and be it resolved that this meeting is adjourned.
All those in favor? Carried. And one last thing, welcome back, Ashley.